Hello there. This is Jaswinder Kaur. Well, today we are going to discuss this very beautiful and at the same time very simple topic, and that is changes around us. Well, in this topic, we'll be discussing with very beautiful examples how the changes are occurring around us and whether these changes are reversible or whether these changes are irreversible. Why would you call any changes as reversible and why would you call any changes as irreversible? Well, all of this is going to be discussed in this beautiful topic, and that is changes around us. Now, we know that we are sitting in one place and we always have certain thoughts in our mind. And we also know that all these thoughts will always come on to something magical. Like something happens and something changes, and let those changes be magical. So in here you can see this beautiful girl sitting and thinking what kind of changes can occur very magically. Can we have a great castle for ourselves? Can we dress up and look different? Well, someday can my nose get bigger? Can I have a pencil which can give me everything? Well, all of these are the thinkings that we have. All of these are the imaginations that we go through. And all of these imaginations are just about one thing, and that is any kind of change that will occur around us. Let us say that if we are building a castle, then this castle has to be built around us. If we are dressing up, we are giving ourselves a good makeup, then at that point of time we look different. Why? Because now we have changed. If we are talking about a nose getting bigger, then it is a change that is occurring on our body. If we have a pencil, if we have a magical pencil, and if we draw something and that comes up, well, that is going to give us another change in the surrounding. Well, these are all the changes that we look forward to. So that is why we say that there are many changes that takes place around us. Let's try to see what are the various types of changes that would take place around us. Well, we have the crops in the field. Now, these crops in the field will always grow, and when they grow, they will change in height. There are times that when we sow the seeds, and then there is a time when we harvest those seeds in the form of crops, and that is why these crops keep on changing as and when they are growing. Similarly, when we see that there is a season, and the season of fall it is, wherein all the leaves from the trees are falling, well, that is also one type of a change, because one day these great green trees will turn reddish brown, and that is the time when all of the leaves will start falling down on the ground, and then the tree will have no leaves at all. Well, this tree, which once was a huge tree with all green and beautiful colored leaves, well, they all became now reddish brown, and all these leaves fell down on the ground. Again, these are the changes, and this change occurs on its own. We can say that this change occurs because of the nature. Let's see one more example, and that is when the flowers, this beautiful flower which is blooming. So when this flower blooms and when it withers away, it's not in our control. But this kind of a change is occurring because of the nature. Similarly, when we try to see the changes in our body, well, it is the hair that we'll be talking about. So if you see over here in this example, the hair which was in one day this long, in a month it becomes a little longer, in 6 months it becomes more longer, and in 1 year it is going to become more longer. So it means what? It means that the changes in the length of the hair is occurring on its own. We are not pulling our hair and making it longer and longer. Rather, the change is occurring on its own. Well, these are all the kinds of changes that we've spoken about, and they all occur on their own. But the question is, can all these changes be reversed? Well, let's take for a simple example this boy. Now we see that this boy is blowing the balloon. So when he's blowing the balloon, basically the balloon is increasing in size. So when the balloon increases in size, what is happening? The air is being filled inside. But at the same time, if he takes the balloon away from his mouth and leaves that entire area wherein he was filling the air, then all the air will go back outside, and again this entire balloon will come back to its normal shape. So can this balloon be reversed after filling it up with air? Of course it can be reversed. Why? Because this balloon is going back to its original state of shape and size wherein it was earlier. So such changes are reversed. Well, let's see with another example that what changes cannot be reversed. That is irreversible changes. So in here, when we take the wheat flour and when we try to knead it into a dough, then such kind of a thing happens. Later on, what we try to do? We try to make sure that this entire dough is made into a roti, it's made into a chapati. So this chapati is nothing but a form of dough. Now we know when the shape of the chapati is not proper, then what happens in the kitchen? They directly crumble this chapati and then they again put it in the dough before baking it or before cooking it. Well, this is also a type of change that can be reversed, which can be taken back, and that is why it is called as a reversible change. So any change that occurs in the nature, which basically makes sure that the entire thing goes back to its original state of shape and size, will now called as reversible changes. But at the same time, if you take the chapati and if you try to bake it or cook it on the gas, of course now this chapati that is made, it cannot be taken back to the dough form. And that is why such changes, they don't go back to the same original state they were before. And that is why they are called as irreversible changes. Let's see little changes that can be reversed or they cannot be reversed. If we say there is raw egg to boiled egg, now we know that this boiled egg is very hard, but at the same time, if we talk about the raw egg, the eggshell has semi-liquid material inside. So when you try to boil the egg, the entire semi-liquid material hardens. It means it becomes hard. Now, can you take this boiled egg back to the raw egg? Of course, no. So this change cannot be reversed. So what will it be called as? Reversible or irreversible? Well, of course, it will be called as an irreversible change. Let's see another example. Batter to idli. So let's say that you've made the batter by mixing this rice and making sure that it's now forming a thin batter. So now this idli batter is kept for fermentation. Initially, it was not sour to taste, but after fermentation, it has become a little sour because it is fermented. So can you take this batter to idli and then again idli to batter? Can you create this batter and then again put it into idli? Then the idli which is formed, again create that into batter? Of course, no. So such changes again cannot be reversed, and that is why they are called as irreversible changes. Let's see more examples. Wet clothes to dry clothes. Can you make your clothes wet? Of course, just splash water, right? Can you create your clothes such that they dry properly? Of course, take those clothes and put it in the sunlight. The entire water vapor will go up, and that is when the clothes will dry up. Is this a reversible change? Well, yes, of course, it's a reversible change, and that is why we say that yes, it can be reversed. Let's take another example, grain to flour. Now, when we have these grains, if we convert them into a flour, can the flour again be converted back into grain? Well, of course, no. It would be a magical thing to convert this flour back into the grains. And that is why such a change becomes an irreversible change. Let's see more examples. Cold milk to hot milk. Now, when we are just boiling a glass of milk, at that time we are just applying heat to it. So when we apply heat to it, the milk is remaining the same, correct? It is still liquid in state. It is still looking the same. There is no new substance which is formed. It's just that the milk is heated. Can you convert this hot milk into cold milk back? Of course, just keep it outside for some time. It will become cold again. And that is why we say that this is a reversible change. Straight string to coiled string. Well, can you create a straight string to a coiled string? Yes, of course. Can you make this coiled string into a straight string? Yes, of course you can, because it's just a string. So you can coil it up, you can uncoil it up also. So this is also a reversible change. Bud to flower. So this bud to flower, the journey of a flower is going to be an irreversible change, because the flower cannot again go back to the state of bud. Well, it will be as good as we turning back to kids, right? So that is why that becomes an irreversible change. Milk to paneer. Now we know that this milk undergoes a particular kind of a change to get converted into this beautiful food, and that is paneer. Mouth-watering, isn't it? So this paneer can never be converted back into milk, and that is why it is called as a irreversible change. Well, you're absolutely correct. Let's see a few examples more. Woolen yarn to knitted sweater. So you take this woolen yarn, you knit a sweater out of it. Now, can you convert all of the sweater back to the yarn? Of course, just keep on removing the thread. You will again get the woolen yarn back. So this change can be reversed. Cow dung to biogas. Well, in here, cow dung is something different. Biogas is something different. Chemical properties, physical properties of both are very different. And that is why this thing cannot be reversed, and that is why it is a irreversible change. Stretched rubber band to its normal size. Can this happen? Of course it can. So it has become a reversible change. Let's see a few more examples. Ice cream to molten ice cream. It's just a matter of melting down. So when this entire ice cream melts down, can it be again taken back to ice cream? Well, of course, you just need to freeze it up. So it's a reversible change. And that is how we classify certain things as reversible and irreversible. Changes which can be reversed, changes which cannot be reversed. Well, understand that whenever we are trying to talk about a reversible or changes that can be reversed, they are those changes in which a substance which is formed is not a very new substance. It is going to be the same one, it's just that the state has changed. That is, the size, the shape has changed. The moment you try to undo it, again the same thing will be appeared. So it is one type of a change wherein the state will be again going back to the original one. It is not going to remain as the one which is new. And that is exactly the opposite case in irreversible changes. So we have certain changes which are irreversible. And what are these irreversible changes? Well, they are the ones in which a completely new substance is formed. Now, this new substance is going to not go back to the original state of its shape, size, etc. And that is wherein we say that the changes become irreversible.
And yes, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon.